Ashok, Mahindra is a relatively new player in the South African market. What sort of setback has the recession of last year been to your growth plans in South Africa?
Well, like any other company, our sales were also impacted during the last 2 years. But Mahindra in India as well as Mahindra in South Africa has gone ahead with all its plans of new product development, new product introduction, as well as all the investment plans. And which has actually seen introduction of new products in the market globally. We launched our Xylo earlier last year, which was followed by Refresh Scorpio with all safety features. And these products have actually taken us into a new segments in the market. And all these are going to actually help us in getting through this slump.
You say new products globally. How about in South Africa? Are you bringing new vehicles into this market?
Well, all these products have actually been launched in South Africa very soon after it was launched in India.
What sorts of sales growth do you see this year? Of course, last year, like everybody else, you were affected. Sales down 31% from 2008's levels. What sort of growth would you expect to see this year?
Well, the auto stats or auto experts in South Africa predict about 6.5–7% in the light vehicle category. What I strongly believe, and looking at figures in the last couple of months, that the growth is going to be more rapid. And about Mahindra, I'm sure we're going to outperform the auto projections.
Well, as a new player in the market, obviously bringing in new cars that people haven't seen before, I should imagine there must be quite a lot of appetite for this kind of model.
Yes. A lot of times we've seen that a lot of our Mahindra buyers are actually not the first-time buyers, they are the second-time buyers. So there's a lot of brand loyalty that we've built up over the last 6 years or so. And each and every new product is actually we are running out of stock, because that's the way the market has actually responded to all our new models.
Well, you talked about new safety features on some of your vehicles, and of course we know that historically people have been very shy to perhaps buy some of the cars coming out of China and India, saying that they might be substandard. Of course, we do see what has happened to Toyota over the past couple of months. It's recalling vehicles due to technical defects. Do you think this is something that's we're moving past, that you're not looking at cars from China and India and expecting them to be substandard?
Well, I don't think that's true. We as Mahindra, we have been in operation since 1945. We're over 60 years old, and all our products are actually tested for in all kinds of terrain, which includes South Africa, and all of them have gone through all the hazardous terrains all around the world. And we are quite before we launch a product in South Africa, for example, we test it at Gerotech. Or we test it in Australia, or we test it in Europe, or we test it in all kinds of terrains, which includes high altitude, low levels, desert, or whether it's cold conditions. So in all conditions before it is introduced in the market. So I don't think we are going to, we are really worried about problems in the vehicles.
Ashok, who is your customer in South Africa? Who are you aiming your vehicles at?
It's quite a large customer base, ranging from individuals, business enterprises, families, mining companies, farmers. So there's a vast range, because we've got different products addressing different segments.
Of course, you have a light vehicle market, but you're also in the SUVs, aren't you?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And how quickly do you see them bouncing back from the hardship of last year?
Well, there's a lot of pent-up demand, and we've seen that in the January figures. And with all the economic activities coming around the World Cup, we see a lot of buying happening in the next few months. And that's going to really take all our segments to higher levels of volumes.
How about outside of South Africa? What sort of growth are you seeing in your other African markets, and how perhaps are you using South Africa as a springboard into those markets?
Well, we've been operational in more than 25 countries in Africa. We've used South Africa as a launchpad, that you're right in saying that, to get into many countries into southern part of Africa and sub-Saharan Africa. Apart from that, Northern Africa is a very strong opportunity which we have, and we are very strongly present in all the North African markets. We also have an assembly plant in Egypt for the Comesa region. So we are quite strongly present, and all these markets are actually have not been seriously impacted by the global recession.
So you haven't seen the same sort of slowdown in those markets you might have witnessed in South Africa last year?
Sure.
How about India as a car maker? And we saw stats out last week that said India has overtaken Japan, biggest maker of small and compact vehicles in the world. And I mean, that's quite an accomplishment. I mean, do you think that we are seeing this emergence of the new emerging market superpowers and in this market as well?
Yes, if you look at the GDP figures for India, I think last year or last calendar year was about 7%, 7.2% or so. And that is in the background where globally all the developed countries are actually struggling in their performance. Now, in that scenario, the demand in India is actually is really good and really strong, and it carries on. And that, in effect, has attracted a lot of investments, innovation, efficiency, and all that is actually getting on to the global customer. And so it gives a great opportunity for countries like India to actually become a production base for automobiles.
Ashok, your future plans for South Africa, could you start to perhaps use this as a manufacturing base as well for your cars?
Well, we are working on a feasibility plan, and we'll have to wait and watch how the market turns around.